The morning had started like any other, but by noon, her entire life would change, shattered by cruelty, reshaped by kindness, and rebuilt by a truth she had never believed she deserved. In the dim light of the cafe kitchen, Mia wiped her trembling hands on her apron, preparing for another long shift. She didn't see herself as anyone special, working double hours as a waitress, raising her little daughter alone, and fighting every day just to stay afloat. But fate had already taken its first step toward her, carried by a powerful man who was about to make the biggest mistake of his life. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories where the underestimated rise above, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps these emotional stories alive. The cafe smelled like warm bread and burnt espresso, the kind of place where regulars found comfort and strangers disappeared into silence. Mia moved through the tables with practiced grace, hiding her fatigue behind soft smiles. She had been working here for 3 years, ever since life had forced her to rebuild from the ground up after her husband abandoned her and their newborn. Money was tight, dreams were buried, but her daughter Lily was the reason she kept pushing forward, step by quiet step. That day, a group of sharply dressed men entered the cafe. 3 suits at once usually meant trouble, and Mia felt it instantly. Their voices were loud, arrogant, carrying the careless confidence of men who never had to worry about tomorrow. At their center was a tall man with cold blue eyes, Ethan Wolfe, the CEO of one of the biggest real estate companies in the city. He looked at the menu as if it was beneath him, glanced at Mia as if she was invisible, then smirked at his colleagues. One of them commented on the cafe needing renovation. Ethan laughed and said the words that would slice Mia in a way she hadn't expected. "She's just a waitress. This whole place is temporary." Mia felt heat rise in her face, but she didn't break. She'd endured worse. She took their order quietly and walked away, ignoring the sting. But life has a way of revealing true character, and it didn't take long for Ethan's mask to crack. When she returned with their drinks, he spoke again, not even looking at her. "You know what the problem with people like her is?" he said. "No ambition. No value. Just existing." Something inside Mia tightened, a voice she usually kept buried whispering that maybe he was right. Maybe she was nothing more than what life had reduced her to. But before the weight could pull her down, a small bright voice cut through the moment. Her daughter Lily had just arrived, brought in early by the cafe owner because school had closed for the day. Lily ran to her mother, hugging her waist tightly. Her smile was the kind that could heal the world. Ethan looked annoyed, as if the presence of a child in the room was a personal inconvenience. But another man, sitting quietly at the corner table, noticed everything. Daniel Price, single dad, carpenter, and a regular at the cafe. He watched the whole exchange with a calm intensity that contrasted sharply with the CEO's arrogance. Daniel had always admired Mia, not for beauty, though she had plenty of that, but for her strength, her gentleness, the way she kept moving forward even when life tried to drag her down. He had seen her walk to work in the rain, seen her skip lunch so Lily could eat, seen her smile even when her eyes showed pain. And he knew, deep in his chest, that she was worth more than any man in a suit could ever measure. When Ethan's group stood to leave, still laughing, Daniel rose too. He walked toward the door just as Ethan dismissed Mia one last time with a wave of his hand. But the universe has its own timing. When Daniel reached the entrance, he paused, pulled the door open, and looked back at Mia with a warmth that made her breath catch. And then he said something that made the entire cafe fall silent. "Don't ever underestimate a woman who carries the weight of her world and still finds the strength to smile." The words weren't loud, but they struck Ethan harder than any shout could. Daniel held the door open for Mia, not just physically, but emotionally, symbolically, showing everyone in the room, including the CEO, that respect didn't come from wealth or status. It came from character. Ethan froze. Something about Daniel's simple act, and the sincerity behind it, forced him to confront the truth. The arrogance in Ethan's expression cracked as he watched Mia walk through the doorway Daniel held open for her, her daughter's tiny hand in hers. For the first time, Ethan saw her not as just a waitress, but as a woman surviving storms he couldn't imagine. Shame crept into his chest like a quiet fire. Daniel stepped outside with Mia, offering her a moment to breathe. He didn't try to save her or pity her. He simply stood beside her, a presence strong enough to silence the self-doubt she had carried for years. He told her that dignity wasn't defined by titles, and that people like Ethan only revealed their lack of humanity when faced with true resilience. The wind was cool, carrying the scent of distant rain. Mia felt something shift inside her, a release, a realization, a small spark of belief that she was worth more than the world had ever told her. She looked at Daniel, and in his warm, steady eyes, she saw something she hadn't seen in a long time: hope. Word of the incident spread quickly. Employees, customers, and eventually Ethan himself began to reflect. For the first time in years, he apologized, not out of pressure but genuine remorse. He returned to the cafe days later, not with suits and arrogance, but with humility. He spoke quietly, acknowledging his cruelty and offering to fund repairs for the cafe. Mia didn't need his charity, but she accepted the apology, teaching her daughter that forgiveness didn't mean forgetting, it meant freeing yourself. Life didn't magically become perfect, but change began. Mia got a better paying position at a community center. Daniel became a steady part of her and Lily's life, not rushing anything, just showing up, day after day, with the kind of consistency Mia had only dreamed of. Ethan grew too, realizing that leadership meant humanity, not superiority. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these emotional stories reach more people. Before you go, comment: respect begins with kindness. If you believe every person, no matter their job, deserves dignity.